Hello everyone, and welcome to my Iconic Goodbyes channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The young and the restless spoilers, Sharon and Phyllis kidnapped, the shocking truth about their captor. The young and the restless spoilers and updates suggest that the stunning truth behind the kidnapping will take a dark turn as the captor's identity is revealed. Sharon, Newman and Phyllis Summers will be stunned when they realize who has been holding them captive, but who could it possibly be? Dead or undead, which is it? Ian Ward seemed to have defied death, with his eyelids flickering open and a gasp escaping his lips in the ambulance. Although the morgue documented his cremation, it is probable that he persuaded someone to help him maintain the idea of his own death. However, if he were actually lurking in the shadows seeking revenge, wouldn't he be targeting Victor Newman for his previous attempt on Ian's life? Given that Ian was recovering from a life-threatening accident, it appears doubtful that he was responsible for the chaos. Although it is possible that he is still alive and healing someplace, he is unlikely to have kidnapped Phyllis and Sharon. Billy Abbott provides a clue about another madman. This leads to an intriguing indication that Billy Abbott will reveal in the March 10th show. After rejecting Ian as a suspect, Billy begins to consider the possibility that a different madman is orchestrating the chaos. If he's right, it suggests that the person holding Phyllis and Sharon captive could be a crazy male figure. The two women are imprisoned in Havenhurst, an old psychiatric facility. Sharon initially suspected that their abductor could be a former doctor or patient from the clinic. Let's look at the patient theory and contemplate the unpleasant prospect that the person orchestrating this nightmare is actually mentally unwell. Alan Lawson has appeared in Genoa City with Tracy Abbott, or is it Martin Lawson? When Alan Lawson first met Sharon, he casually mentioned his participation in a psychological study and stated a desire to interview her. He was in the middle of writing a book, which is a vital fact to remember. Given the facts, it may be time to examine whether Alan is who he claims to be. What if Martin Lawson, the twin who allegedly died in a horrific balcony accident in France, has been living as Alan all along? We can't forget when Alan entered the Abbott estate with Tracy Abbott and acted as if he were a complete stranger. Was Martin the one who lived, and Alan the one who died? Viewers will recall the two identical twins struggling and falling from a high balcony, with the troublesome twin Martin dying, or did he? Granted, it would have been difficult to switch clothes with a dead twin on top of him, making Martin look to be Alan. Martin didn't recognize the Abbott residence because he'd never been there, although Alan had been Ashley Abbott's friend. He had previously worked for Alan and had copied notes from their sessions, which gave him confidence that he could do Alan's part even better. When the opportunity occurred, Martin opted to imitate Alan and interact with Ashley Abbott, stretching the limits of his hypnosis methods to the extreme. Is experimental therapy being used on two rival captives? Let's look into Sharon and Phyllis's strange situation. Doesn't it seem like a bizarre, severe type of therapy? It's as if the orchestrator thinks they're assisting, when in reality they're creating a living nightmare. Sharon will consider the uncomfortable idea that someone wants them to recognize their own brilliance through the mystery and drama surrounding their circumstance in the March 10th episode. This adds another depth to the mystery, which wonderfully complements Martin. Given that Alan was doing research for a book and wanted to speak with Sharon, it's possible that Martin went extensively into her history with Phyllis. More evidence supports Martin's captor theory after all. Determining the precise music that played during their confrontation would necessitate extensive research. It's improbable that anyone could retain this information on their own, implying that the person arranging these events doesn't need to know Sharon and Phyllis very well. What important is their willingness to go into the details now? Let's go over the hints to have a better grasp of the scenario. The abductor could be a former psychiatric patient who has dragged Phyllis and Sharon into a bizarre game that resembles a perverted therapy session. It's certainly possible that Martin is the mastermind behind this, hoping to show that his unconventional approaches can produce results. And just think, Alan returns to Genoa City with Tracy this week. Perhaps a bit too conveniently, Alan returns to the screen from March 10th to March 14th. In the most recent preview, he appears to be preparing to propose to Tracy Abbott. Could the program be preparing Tracy for a tragic shock? Are we soon to discover that Martin has been fooling her all along and is the mastermind behind the kidnapping drama? Spoilers for the upcoming week of the soap tease a violent showdown between Sharon and Phyllis as they struggle for their life when the situation becomes out of control. Stay tuned for more forecasts and updates on the surprising developments to come. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, March 12th, Captives Take Control, Chance Comforts, and Tracy's Bombshell. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, March 12th, 2025 are available. In tomorrow's episode, the kidnapping victims are expected to seize control. Chancellor comforts Summer Newman. Meanwhile, Tracy Abbott tells Jack Abbott some shocking news. On Wednesday, March 12th, fans will watch Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers react to the Captor's experiment. Phyllis fell asleep after receiving the antidote to the poison. While Phyllis was unconscious, Sharon communicated with the unknown kidnapper via the speaker. The kidnapper would only say that it was not personal, but rather an experiment. That made Sharon think they were in serious trouble and might never get out. Captives take control after Sharon's screams awoke Phyllis, the poisoning victim. She learned about the new developments. Sharon has remained calm for the majority of this event. Sharon had to believe that they could get out of there. Sharon and Phyllis take control of the situation after learning that they are just lab rats. Phyllis and Sharon are in a difficult predicament, but their control does not last long. Later that week, the two women fall into a trap. Their only hope seemed to be recovering the stolen van. The van has to be close to the abandoned mental health facility. The Young and the Restless spoilers for tomorrow show that as time passes, Summer becomes increasingly concerned that something horrible has occurred. Chance is trying everything he can to locate Phyllis and Sharon. However, there isn't much to go on right now aside from a stolen white vehicle with no windows. While Summer is concerned about her mother, she will find solace in Chance's embrace. Chance will try his utmost to comfort Summer. Chance understands that as time passes, the victim's chances of survival decrease. Tracy will surprise Jack in the next episode, airing on Wednesday, March 12, 2025. Could it be about Alan Loran? A weekly preview footage features what appears to be a semi-proposal. Tracy is certainly astonished, but is it too much too soon? What happened to Jack on The Young and the Restless? For decades, Jack Abbott of The Young and the Restless has been a power player in Genoa City. The character was initially debuted in 1980 and was portrayed by the late Terry Lester. When he departed the soap in 1989, Peter Bergman took over the role and has played it ever since. Despite the various ups and downs in Jack's life, nothing can keep him down for long. Jack began dating Jill Foster in the early 1980s after she split from his father, John Abbott. Naturally, this created a lot of family conflict, so it didn't last long. Jack married Patty Williams, but shortly began an affair with Diane Jenkins. After losing Jack's baby, Patty was devastated to overhear him reveal that he had only married her to advance in his profession, so she shot him. Despite the fact that Jill was now married to his father, Jack rekindled his relationship with her. Lindsay Wells, his ex, blackmailed him with images of the affair, so John divorced Jill and evicted Jack from the house. Victor Newman took over Jabot Cosmetics and replaced Jack with Brad Carlton, prompting Jack to marry his former, Nikki. But their marriage was tumultuous, with Nikki becoming addicted to pills and alcohol, and when Victor offered Jack control of his family business if he left her, Jack accepted the offer. Next, Jack married Lon Volian, whom he had met during the Vietnam War. She also had his kid, Chemo, and they were finally reunited as a family. Following Lon's death from a severe illness, Jack became associated with Mary Jo Mason, and Diane returned to get caught between Jack and Victor. Diane stole Victor's sperm to have his baby, but it turned out to be Jack's, and she gave birth to Kyle Abbott, his son. Jack and Victor continued to dispute in the boardroom, each attempting to steal or take over the other's business, and things became heated. Jack and his sister, Ashley Abbott, disapproved of their father's new wife, Gloria, especially after John was imprisoned for murdering her ex-husband, Tom Fisher. John was released early due to illness, but he later died in the hospital. Jack dated and eventually married Sharon Newman, and he also campaigned against Nikki for Wisconsin State Senate. He won thanks to Sharon and Phyllis Summers' machinations, but he was forced to leave when his ethics were questioned. After splitting up with Sharon, Jack romanced Mary Jane Benson, who subsequently turned out to be his psycho ex, Patty. After she was chased out of town, Jack had an affair with Adam's wife, Skye, and then proposed to Genevieve Atkinson. But on their wedding day, Patty stood at the altar and shot Jack. As he recovered, Jack restarted his passion with Nikki, but their marriage was exceedingly brief. Jack became addicted to painkillers after undergoing surgery to remove the bullet that remained inside him. He went to rehab, and Phyllis supported him as their relationship progressed. However, she had brain surgery after falling and slipping into a coma, and was moved to a facility in Georgia. Hillary Curtis, Jack's assistant, kissed him, but he preferred Kelly Andrews. He paid a comatose Phyllis a visit to say goodbye, but at Nick and Sharon's wedding, she appeared fully alive. Jack was similarly taken aback when Phyllis forced Sharon to admit that she had changed the results and that Nick was Summer's biological father, not Jack. Jack picked Phyllis over Kelly after being torn between the two ladies, both of whom went to extremities to win his affection. Unfortunately, Victor arranged for Jack's kidnapping and replacement with a lookalike named Marco. Jack eventually escaped Kelly's clutches and returned to Genoa City, but the damage had already been done. Victor shot Marco, thinking he was up against him, and was shocked to discover it was Jack he had almost killed. Jack tried to rebuild both his personal life and his family's business. When brother Billy Abbott was nearly killed in a vehicle accident, Jack fretted over pulling the plug and was relieved when he recovered. Unfortunately, Billy and Phyllis began an affair behind Jack's back, and he was devastated when he discovered the truth. Next, Jack's life was dramatically altered when his estranged mother, Dina Murdron, arrived to Genoa City. He and the rest of the Abbotts were able to pull her away from her male friend, Graham, who was only seeking to steal her riches. Unfortunately, Dina was also suffering from Alzheimer's, and the family banded together to support the matriarch as her memory faded. During this period, Jack and Billy also buried the hatchet, but Jack was shocked when his mother disclosed that John Abbott was not his biological father. After some soul-searching, Jack was relieved to realize that it was all a deception, part of Ashley's plan to destroy him and steal the Abbott firm from him. Jack managed to keep the family business, but Ashley kept the patents and went to start her own firm. He also lost the CEO post to Phyllis, and the Abbotts planned to depose her before she could destroy Jabot. Jack began a new relationship with new chemist Carrie Johnson, but she was actually a plant hired by Ashley to destroy the firm from within. Eventually, Jack and Ashley reached an impasse and decided to compete to see who could make their company more profitable. To that end, Jack has prioritized business over everything else, but he did join the Abbott family in the agonizing decision to place Dina in a home as her illness worsened. Despite a brief flirtation with Mallory, Jack was able to mend his relationship with Ashley, and they agreed to collaborate on business matters. But he still felt aimless, so he took some time away from Genoa City to figure out what he wanted. Jack opted to stand aside from Jabot, leaving business in the capable hands of Kyle and Billy, while collaborating with Tracy on a book about the Abbott family history. But when Billy stepped down, Jack stood up again to take over the family legacy. He also started spending more time with Jill, reminiscing about their shared past. Before Dina died, Jack was able to locate the Teardrop of Love necklace and return it to her. Following her death, he and the family divided it into parts to split amongst themselves. Jack soon developed a close relationship with new Jabot employee Sally Spectra, who assisted him in dealing with Theo's schemes. Their relationship evolved into a hesitant romance that no one seemed to approve of, and it quickly disintegrated when Sally's past transgressions were uncovered. Jack was surprised to learn that Kyle had a son, Harrison, and welcomed him and his mother, Tara Locke, to reside at the Abbott estate. Jack bonded with Sally, but drove her out when it was found she conspired with Tara to force Summer out of Genoa City. He was also saddened when Kyle chose to accompany Summer to Europe, taking Harrison with him. Phyllis asked Jack to open up to her after noticing how depressed he was, and he shocked her when he said he was still in love with her and always would be. Despite placing him firmly in the friend zone, Phyllis remained drawn to Jack and was concerned about jeopardizing their friendship by giving it another try. Jack began receiving strange text messages from Los Angeles, which Phyllis helped trace to a man called Hao Nguyen, Luan's father. Further investigation revealed that Chemo had adopted his grandfather's name and had lately passed away. Jack, heartbroken that he had lost the son he had never really known, resolved to travel to California to seek answers. At the address, he discovered a box of memorabilia and was heartbroken to learn that Chemo was considering reaching out again before passing away. Then Jack was surprised to hear that Chemo had a daughter, Allie, despite her insistence that she hadn't texted her grandfather to come. Jack tentatively got to know Allie, but was shocked to learn that the mysterious texter was Diane, who had pretended to die. She argued that she'd brought him and Allie together as a goodwill gesture because she wanted Jack to help her reunite with Kyle, but he remained skeptical, and for good reason. Once returned in Genoa City, Jack broke the news of Diane's resurrection, which hit Kyle especially hard. As Jack worried if Diane had truly changed, he and Phyllis rekindled their romance. But when he believed that Phyllis was merely dating him to get back at Diane, he ended his relationship with her. Jack offered Allie an internship at Jabot and rebuffed Phyllis's attempts to apologize and reconcile. He also offered Adam a job, which he eventually took, although it did not work out. Diane grew closer to Jack and admitted to him that she had been engaged with a dangerous man named Jeremy Stark, who used her to launder money. Jack was also unhappy that Tucker McCall had exploited Diane to obtain insider information on Jabot. He pledged to safeguard Diane and encouraged her to stay in a guest room at the house. As Jack attempted to pay off Stark in order for him to leave Diane alone and leave town, he and Diane reconnected, and they kissed on New Year's Eve 2023. After Jack stole a piece of Nikki's jewelry and falsely accused Stark, he was jailed, and Jack and Diane celebrated by having sex. Not everyone was pleased that Jack and Diane had rejoined. He also disagreed with Kyle, who was secretly working with Victor to remove Adam from Jabot. Diane accepted Jack's proposal, and they announced their engagement at the Genoa City Bicentennial Gala, but Phyllis collapsed and died during the ambulance journey to the hospital. Diane was framed for her murder, but she was released once it was discovered that Phyllis had faked her death with Stark's assistance and then killed him in self-defense. Jack hired Diane for a new executive job at Jabot, and they married in a casual ceremony at the courthouse. Jack and Ashley argued about her friendship with Tucker, but he still attended their wedding. Later that summer, Jack and Diane hosted a celebration to appropriately honor their marriage, and Kyle officiated at the vow renewal. He also convinced his son to return to Jabot as COO, and Kyle attempted to serve as a mole to obtain information on Tucker's plots. As 2024 began, Jack reluctantly agreed to be Nikki's new sponsor, as she was dealing with alcohol again. He ultimately told Victor what was going on, and Diane became concerned that Jack was jeopardizing his own recovery. After Nikki continued to drown her sorrows, Jack went to the extreme of taking drugs to join her, and the shock of having to call an ambulance after he passed out prompted Nikki to return to treatment. However, Diane was so disturbed by Jack's behavior that she vowed to leave him. He also had to referee Diane and Kyle's ongoing workplace conflicts. Jack supported Ashley when she returned from her Paris honeymoon without Tucker, explaining that he had gotten violent and they had broken up. However, when her conduct got increasingly unpredictable, Jack and the rest of the family were concerned, and they were shocked to hear she had died. Fortunately, they were able to band together and get Ashley the care she so needed. Kyle's relationship with his parents deteriorated after Diane fired him from Jabot and he began working with Audra Charles at Glissade. After celebrating their wedding anniversary, Jack and Diane suspected Victor of using Kyle and Glissade to destroy him. The couple soon began fighting in public over how Diane had handled Kyle, and Jack began to make progress in regaining custody of his son. After persuading Victor to give her Glissade, Diane and Jack told a surprised Kyle that they had staged their breakup to expose the truth. Diane then declined to return to Jabot, urging Jack to rehire Kyle as co-CEO. Kyle took a bit to forgive his parents, but by the end of the year, things had greatly improved. As the year 2025 dawned, Jack agreed to help fund Billy's new enterprise, Abbott Communications, on the condition that he not use it to retaliate against the Newman family. Though the conflict between the families persisted, Jack was unable to persuade Victor to stop trying to keep Kyle and Claire away, and he felt Summer wanted Kyle back. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.